Welcome to episode 69 of Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. We made it through the final holiday celebration for 2020, New Year's Eve. Good for us. We have handled weirdly quiet and calm holidays this year. Who knows how many will be the same in 2021? But if nothing else, we know we can do that. We don't need everything to be exactly as it has always been to be okay. This is an important thing to understand moving forward. We are resilient. We can adapt, and we can find joy on terms that are not our own. That kind of ties into the next New Year's resolution, number 3, which is practice radical gratitude, being thankful for all you have and all you have lost. It appears as though the pandemic and all the chaos around it has made people take stock in their lives unlike any time that I can remember. Our pre-pandemic lives moved at a pace that kept everything around us in a bit of a blur. Our lives have been somewhat like that closet you have that has been filled with everything that you didn't know where to put, so you just threw it in there and slammed the door shut as quickly as possible. We have spent years, if not decades, throwing things in and only dealing with them when we have to shove them further back to accommodate the latest thing that will end up there. If and when we take the time to open the closet and pull everything out, we are shocked at some of the things that have been haphazardly stored there. Obviously, there's no way to have gratitude for the things that reside in the dark closet. We don't even know they are there. In fact, we often go out and buy another one, not realizing that we already have what we think we need. I have an attic like that. I never go in there, but there's a whole lot being stored. The only way I will ever truly appreciate anything that the attic contains is to drag it out into the light. Some of it may be useful to me, and some may be useful to someone else. It is currently of no use to anyone. I definitely need an attic reckoning in the new year. I realize they are just things, but things can put you through a whole bunch of emotions. There are surely things that will make me feel nostalgic for my past. There are things that were of little or no use that I will be embarrassed I spent money on. There will be the fear that there may be mice in there. There will be the surprise of things that have been in there for more than 20 years that I will have no memory of ever having. The more emotions I list here, the more I want to avoid the attic. But I need to excavate my life and my possessions so I can honor what has happened up to this point, giving thanks for how blessed I have been, and figure out what joy may exist in those possessions that can be carried forward to others. I am so grateful for all the different phases of life I have lived. I am grateful that I have survived to an age where the noise of the world is easily shut out, and my list of genuine concerns has shrunk exponentially. I am grateful that I have developed much more trust in myself and my ability to find a way forward. I am grateful that I have so much more trust that others will find their way forward too. I am grateful that I now understand that we don't have to be perfect, that we just need to do the best we can. And what our best was in the past was not what we would do now, but it was what our best was at that time. It is liberating when you realize that you don't have to measure your past actions by your current level of awareness. Loving yourself and others is an act of understanding how growth happens. I'm grateful for the things that have worked out for me, and I'm equally grateful for the things that did not turn out the way I hoped. When I think back on some of the things that I wanted and did not get, I am profoundly relieved. I'm grateful that most of the things I feared never came to pass, and the challenges that did show up were ones that I have found my way through. To have a good day or week or year when everything is exactly as you wish it to be is one thing, but the amount of self-love that is generated when you can have a good day, week, or year when everything has blown up in your face is quite another. My challenges let me see aspects of myself that I'd never had reason to see before. I love those aspects. I am proud of those aspects. That is the type of growth that no one can ever take away from you. The aspects of me that arrived to save the day are my very favorite parts of myself. Challenges not only help you develop strength, they offer perspective that sweetens everything else. On balance, I think I am more grateful for the losses than for the wins, as they produced more usable energy for the trip I'm on. If you do the mental exercise of taking the tough times and the bad people out of your life story, you will see that you will also have to take away the good things and good people who came out of and after those situations. Any thread you pull will also include the loss of something that is essential to your happiness. When you realize that everything that happens and everyone who crosses your path are meant to teach you what you came here to learn, you will realize that it is all worthy of gratitude. Every problem that we have can be traced back to a lack of gratitude. If you have gratitude, there is no reason to feel envious or greedy about anything. We can put an end to all the feelings of needing more, needing to be more, needing everything to be different than it is. We can stop our obsession with things and power and status. When we take the time to assess the gratitude that we should have in our lives, we can see that we have everything we need. The pandemic has stripped us of many things that made up our lives, and it turns out that we didn't actually need most of them. We have been reduced to the fundamentals. The recognition of what truly matters is a huge gift. The time that we have sitting alone, out of the flow of what life used to be, has allowed us to reimagine a life that is pared back down to what serves us. That is a huge gift, and for that, I am grateful. Okay, now for New Year's resolution number 4. It is human nature to ignore the things that are not uncomfortably wrong. We are very skilled at turning our heads when the problems seem small, they seem only to affect others, or they are seemingly outside of our area of expertise. When we have a government that is working well, one that doesn't scream out for intervention on a daily basis, we tend to go about the business of focusing on the immediate issues in our own lives. The last 4 years have been something else entirely. In the past, we lived in an illusion that our democracy was well crafted, our Constitution kept most things in check, and that there were guardrails that would protect both us and the country as a whole. Yeah, that didn't really work out the way we thought it would. All of the rules, laws, and guidelines have assumed that we would not have a self-serving, pathological liar, sociopath cult leader at the top of the organizational chart. Oh, how the Founding Fathers underestimated us. Not hard to understand once you realize that they didn't have reality TV back in the days when all these ideas were hatched. They did not know that we would be entertained by crazy drama that had to keep being ratcheted up each week to maintain our short attention spans. I recognize the rules, laws, and guidelines have never served everyone in our culture. Many of them have baked-in racism, and others can be broken without consequence for those who held power. It has been hard to watch, but extremely essential. We need to know who the low-level, seditious players are in this democracy. We need to recognize that not everyone is a fan of democracy. We have to recognize that there is a sizable segment of the population who are fine with being ruled by a dictator who is accountable to no one. We need to be clear on how many people are susceptible to believing the most insane ideas. We need to understand that there are many who are willing to kill in support of their cult leader. We need to be clear on the fact that those who have held power up until this point have no desire to relinquish it graciously. The demographics of this country have been changing for quite some time. That is not a bad thing. It's a simple reality. In fact, it's a good thing. Diversity of experience and thought makes for a more successful society. In the rebirth, we need the input of everyone. Everyone has something to offer. But many white people have a big problem with this. This reality is terrifying to them. They are about to lose the leg up that they have enjoyed forever. This will help them grow into better people. The rock has been turned over, and some of the most unsavory characters have slithered out into the light. The only thing I think the 45th president did well was to allow people to show their true nature. He has exposed those who love and care for others, along with those who are poisoned with hatred. We need to look with a very clear eye at who each and every person is at this point in time. We cannot fix what we are unwilling to drag out into the light. Those who have spent a lifetime draping themselves in the American flag, preaching their fiscal conservatism, their godliness, and superior character, have revealed that none of those things really hold true. People have been willing to forego everything they purportedly held near and dear to side with someone who is the actual antithesis of Jesus, who they claim to follow. Many who would have described themselves as strict constitutionalists have proven that they would gladly burn it all to the ground if it would please their leader and keep him in power. What comes from all of this is that we all need to recognize that democracy is not a spectator sport. It is an exercise that we must all be a part of. That's the whole point of it. We need to make ourselves heard and hold those who represent us accountable. Our downfall is that we want to align with one party or the other, and when our side wins, we want to revel in that and then make excuses for any of the actions of those we have elected that do not align with the principles they were selling. Those on the losing side become engaged and enraged until their side wins again. This pattern of ours cannot sustain us. We must all be engaged all the time, win or lose, and hold every single person who was gifted with the power to represent us accountable. We must expand instead of shutting down the conversation so that we may embrace new thinking and find new solutions. We will never agree on everything. That's impossible. Remember, our country is made up of people from all different levels of spiritual awareness, so we see things differently. We have different priorities. We have different values. As you move closer to the end of the spectrum of spiritual awareness where you feel nothing but love and compassion for yourself and others, you are more interested in finding solutions that will work for people who are having a different experience than you are. When you are further away from this goal, you don't care what happens to others. You barely care what happens to you. That is why you see so many willingly voting against their own interests. When I refer to spiritual awareness, I am most certainly not referring to religion. It is impossible to ignore how toxic some of the people are who identify as being deeply religious. Religion is man-made. It has no bearing on where a person is in their spiritual awareness progression. Some of the most damaged, deranged, low-level people hold some of the highest ranks in organized religions. And the saddest part is that their followers feel that they are right on track with their Creator as long as they follow the edicts of these religious leaders. Let's clear this up. If it is hateful, it is not in the light. If it is racist, it is not in the light. If it is homophobic, it is not in the light. If it is misogynistic, it is not in the light. If it supports cruel and corrupt leaders, it is not in the light. We are, above all, tasked with the objective of being left with nothing but love and compassion for ourselves and others. Any religion that makes either of these impossible is not in the light. Now that all the darkness has been exposed to us, now that all the busted guardrails have been revealed, it is our job to clean up the mess and do what we can to make sure that we don't find ourselves in a mess like this again. We must hone our instincts to the point that a person with such a low level of spiritual awareness can never slip past us again. It is apparent that our task may be even more difficult than we previously thought, as we see anti-maskers screaming in the faces of others as thousands of people die each day. It is more difficult as we become increasingly aware of the way that racial animosities play out for those who are meant to protect us. It is more difficult when people are willing to kill others who they are convinced may be lizard people. It's all so insane. It's all so painful and confounding. But we are here to do what we are here to do. We will keep inching closer to our objective, no matter how difficult they make it. Because it's not about what they do. It's about what we do. Thanks for listening to Rebirth Revolution. I'm so ready to be done with this abusive relationship that we have all endured. January 20th cannot come soon enough. Remember, the most dangerous time is when a person decides to leave their abuser. This is all to be expected. Next week, we will continue with the explanation of the resolutions for the new year. Join us. And if you think someone else might be interested in this, please pass it along. Until next week, stay alert, stay informed, stay grateful, and keep your mask on. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Be well and be patient. The best is yet to come.